which I read and it was awesome. The Journey of Change. There's more info at his website if you guys are interested. But we're excited to have him here and grateful that you came. So we'll turn it over to Luke.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. I am thrilled and excited to be here. Everybody got a notepad and ready to take notes? I'm going to put you all to work, which is probably what you don't want at your Christmas party, right? Okay, I have to start with a very serious question to everybody here. Who remembers MTV? By a show of hands. Okay, half the people. It looked like some of the people in the crowd were younger, so maybe you don't remember. When I was a kid, I loved MTV. I mean, I was, let's see, probably in second or third grade, and I started watching all the cool rock bands like Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Poison. Do you guys know any of those bands? Okay, cool. So when I was a kid, I loved watching MTV, and I idolized those guys. So much to the fact that I actually wanted to be a rock star. And so when I was in sixth grade, I started dinking around with playing guitar in bands with buddies and stuff. And we weren't very good. It took a long time to get somewhat decent, but we had fun. And I did that for a couple years between the ages of 12 to 15. And then when I was 15, I started this band. And the name was Air Conditioner. And this little guy right here is me. I don't know if you can, do I even look like that? I don't know. And we played punk rock. That's why Josh had green hair, because it was cool to do punk rock. So that was my life and what I wanted to do forever. I wanted to be a rock star. So I idolized these bands, started a band. Well, I started doing what the other guys did in the bands, which was partying. I don't know if you guys ever, you know, it seems glamorous, right? These rock bands, they're always partying and drinking and doing drugs. They had a motto, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I wanted to be just like them. So I started getting involved in drugs and alcohol at the age of 15. And unfortunately, I grew up in Glendale, California, which is right next to LA. Does anybody know where that is, Glendale? Cool. I got arrested because I had marijuana on me when I was 15. My parents did not know what to do with me. So they said, why don't you go up to Utah and live with my cousin's family? They'll straighten you out. So I moved up to Utah when I was 15, and it was quite the culture shock. I grew up as the minority and then became part of the status quo when I moved up here. But it didn't take long for me to start another band by the name of Hospital Food. So we had all these funny, ridiculous names that we thought were really cool, but looking back now and reflecting, it's like, that was pretty silly. So I'm in bands. I'm about 18 in this picture. This is pre-tattoos, obviously. And continued to abuse alcohol and drugs. And I lived that way for about 20 years. Between the ages of 15 to 35, that was it. All I wanted to do was party. And actually what happened is being in the band got overtaken by the party. It wasn't about playing music anymore. It was just about getting wasted every night. And unfortunately, this party that I lived for the majority of my life took away some people's lives. Two of the people in this picture are not with us anymore. And almost a third was not with us. So I felt inspired recently to write this book. It's a memoir of my past challenges and experiences dealing with drugs and alcohol and the changes and everything that I had to go through. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just felt inspired to share my story. So I started writing, I wrote a book, and like Melanie said, I challenged myself to write it in 30 days. Well, I found out that is very difficult to do, and it actually took me like 4 months. So, but thank you for telling everybody I did it in 90 or 30 days. So I wrote this book to try to inspire people, and during the writing process, I did a lot of reflecting. And what I realized was that when I was in these punk bands, I was screaming for attention. I was angry and I was screaming, and I didn't know what I wanted or what I needed. And I realized during the process of writing this book and reflecting that I was just drowning my true voice of how I really wanted to express myself. I didn't know, and it took me that whole process of wasting those 20 years of my life to do that. So I didn't know what my true voice was. But recently, I have found it. And what I realize I want to do now is uplift, motivate, and inspire people. Is that okay with you? Does anybody want to be uplifted, motivated, inspired? Okay. I'm not going to be one of those crazy people that jumps up and down and screams, but That's what I wanted to do. So I found my voice. And when I was doing a little bit of research before I was invited to speak to you, I thought this would be appropriate because you guys are speech therapists and you help others with their voice. But I want to try to help you find your voice and the way you can utilize it in your life, in other aspects of your life, with your family, your kids, spouse, boyfriends, things like that. So I wanted to ask, hopefully you guys are willing to participate. Is anybody willing to share with me why they got into speech therapy? I think I have a pretty good idea, but I'd love to hear anybody. Yeah, please.
When I was in elementary school, I had speech therapy, and I love my speech therapist. His name's Mr. Spicer. Remember that?
Nice.
I'd always look forward to him coming, and I felt special. We would go, and he would help me, and I just thought, wow, that's what I want to do. So that's why I
Does everybody have like the same story? No? You got a different one? Okay.
When I was in third grade, I had speech therapy, and I did not like it at all. And I thought I could do a little better job.
So you're like, I'm going to do better than that person did. Yeah, please. You have a nephew with autism, is that what you said? Cool. So you wanted to be able to help people with autism like your nephew? Yeah, please.
My mom was my mentor. She's a speech pathologist, and thought if she could raise 8 kids and be a speech pathologist, that was a pretty good thing.
Cool. Please, as many people as want to.
I was interested in nursing, but also I like teaching, so I feel like there's a good mix of both. And I still look at teachers to this day and nurses in awe because I don't know, there's a lot of pressure on nurses in the medical field to get things right, and that makes me nervous. I'm glad I didn't go into that something. But I also look at teachers and think, how do you manage a class of 30? I think I'll do my groups of 3.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. Please.
In 19, like, 89-ish or something like that, in the U registration book, communication disorders was the one right after communications, and I decided not to do communications, so I just went for the next.
Nice, nice. Yes, please. Do a few more.
Well, my parents were elementary school teachers, and I knew I didn't have a class of 30, but I wanted that same nice schedule of having my summers off. So I figured we'll do SLP.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I was doing some research about speech therapists, and I watched a bunch of videos, and I came across this one that I want to share that really inspired me. And when I watched it, I thought, this is probably similar to a lot of people that got into speech therapy. So let me play it. I'm going to see if
When I
it's
was
too much.
16, I had a traumatic car accident, and I was in a coma for 3 weeks, and I had a traumatic brain injury, and I went through extensive speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. I kind of understood, kind of opened up my eyes and how I could enhance my voice and work with the voice that I do have. It was kind of a relieving feeling because I do like feel my breath supported. And I do take breaths about every 2 to 3 words. And once I kind of got in a routine of doing that, it was a lot easier for me speaking. I began speaking a lot more and a lot faster. The whole speech therapy aspect of my recovery just really struck home with me, and I knew from then on that I wanted to become a speech therapist and change and impact someone's life as much as my life was. I want to work at Children's Hospital Scottish Rite in Atlanta. I want to change someone's life, another child's life, with the same kind of injury I had, and impact them as much as my speech therapist and everyone there has impacted me. If I can help one person in their life, I just want to help.
Okay, when I watched that, I was so inspired and felt honored to be able to come and speak with such amazing people. There were some key things that she said that I wrote down because I wanted to share. Her eyes were opened when she worked with her speech therapist. It enhanced her voice. And you can take these literally, the meanings, and then also apply them to your life as well. She worked with what she knew she did have. So she didn't have everything, but she worked with what she had. She felt relieved. she knew she had been impacted and her life was changed. And she said at the end, I love this, I'm going to try not to get emotional. If I can just change one person's life, she just wants to help. And it made me think, that you guys really matter. You guys make an impact on kids' lives. And you make a positive difference in their life. And I want you guys to give yourself a round of applause right now for being the amazing people that you are. Please, give yourself a round of applause. I truly am honored to be speaking with you guys. So, be awesome. I guess that's the theme today. Is everybody awesome? You guys are amazing. And I just wanted to throw that in there because you're awesome. So, thank you. So, there's some things that I've taken in my life recently as I've transitioned and changed. 3 principles that I think will help you with your life as well. So, the first one is clarity. Now, what does it mean to have clarity? Does anybody know the actual definition of clarity? Because I don't. I need some help here. Okay, what I think it is, I'm just guessing, I don't know it, but you're clear on what you want in your life. So, if you go through life and you don't know what you want, you might not succeed, or the chances of you succeeding are probably a little bit slimmer. I want to tell you a quick story. This is me and my motorcycle that was nicknamed Wizards and Dreams. It was nicknamed that because I had this cool airbrushed dragon spitting fire and a wizard with like a crystal ball and lightning. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I thought I was really cool. Well, at this time in my life, I was still drinking. And one night, I went to a jazz game with a buddy of mine, and I drove my motorcycle to the train station here in Farmington, and then drove the train down to the jazz game, and we got wasted, basically, you know. And I got sick and had to leave because I had drank too much. And I thought I would be okay to ride the train home and then get on my motorcycle and drive home. Well, I did that. I got on the train and came to the train station right here in Farmington, got on my motorcycle, and I thought, you know what would be a good idea? I'm going to go visit my buddy who lives over here and see if he wants to drink some more, right? Because when you're already wasted, what else are you going to do except drink some more? So I get on my motorcycle, and I head over here, just a couple blocks, actually, and made it over there swerving. I don't know how I did it. He wasn't home, and so I drove home. Well, a block south from here, as I'm driving my motorcycle drunk, I blacked out, I think, fell asleep. I don't really know what happened, other than there were some kids walking on the street that looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "What?" And I looked around, and the motorcycle was over there, and it's on the ground, and I'm on the ground, and I picked myself up, and the first thing I thought to do was just run. I didn't want to get busted, so I tried to get on the motorcycle and ride away, but the motorcycle was broke, so I couldn't switch the gears. So I stashed it over here at the library and walked home. I was living at Farmington Crossing at that time, and I walked from there to there. And at that moment in my life, there was a shift in my mindset and my perspective. And the walk home, I've called the walk of shame, because the only thing I could think of was the shame and the guilt and that I had let my family down, my kids, and I knew at that point that I needed to make a change in my life. So what does that have to do with clarity, right? Well, I knew instantly what I didn't want anymore. And sometimes when you're trying to get clear on what you do want, you have to find out what you don't want. And I knew that I did not want to drink anymore. I didn't want to be hungover, and I did not want to not be there for my kids. And I didn't want to be that dad who's a lazy bum on Saturdays because he's hungover all the time, right? So I made a change in my life. And I bet you guys probably have days in your life where you feel bogged down, right? Is that an understatement? Is that an understatement? So I want to do an activity real quick. I want everybody to take 2 minutes and turn to your neighbor and explain why you got into this again. Because sometimes when you remember why you're doing something. It helps you during those times when you're bogged down, which might be plenty. So take a minute and share with the person to your left or right, just like 1 minute, and tell them why you got into this, so that when you have those bogged down days, you can remember and push through. If you have a pen, I want you to write down what it is in that notepad that I handed out. Write down why you're doing what you do. And when you are having one of those days, you know those days, you can pull it out and keep it with you, and hopefully it'll help you get through your day. I told you I'm going to put you to work. I see some people not writing. You will be fired.
We were memorizing.
You guys obviously have to follow a lot of rules. You can follow my... No, I'm joking. Okay. Say what? Yes, exactly. I could tell by the announcements. You must be. I would never be able to do this job. I am so defiant. Okay. That's why you're like, I'm not going to write that down. Okay. So you have to be clear, and I think remembering your why will help you through your day when you have those days. Now, here's another quick tip that I do, as well as trying to remember why I do things, because I have those days too. Is in my phone, I have 3 words that I use that I aspire to be, and I've already shared them with you. They're to uplift, motivate, and inspire people. So I put cool songs to them as well. So at 10:05 every day, the Rocky theme song comes on, and I usually just stand up and start boxing and stuff. But it reminds me, okay, be motivated, right? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Keep going. And then at 5 o'clock, fight song comes on. You guys know that one? Fight song. And I can't remember the other one. But anyways, so what would 3 aspirational words be for you? What do you aspire to do? Think about that for a minute, and I want you to write that down. And I want to challenge you as well to put in your notepad those words. And then go to your phone, and 3 times throughout the day, set a timer with a cool song that motivates you with that word. So that word pops up at 10, at 2, and tells you, oh yeah, that's right. I'm aspiring to do this. Keep going. Okay. One last thing on being clear is journaling. I have found that when I write in my journal, you can write things that you've done good, things that you've done bad, good days, bad days, but there's something in the act of writing things down that helps get your mind clear and also clears your mind and gets it on the paper instead of being jumbled up in your head. You can go back and reflect and look at both good things and bad things. And one thing would be, if it was bad, you could be like, well, I'm not doing that again. I remember that day. I am not going to do that again, right? Or you can go back and celebrate your wins. So write down your wins and celebrate. This is something I've been doing for the last 3 years, and it's super beneficial. And I try to do it every day, but I'm not the best at that, as I'm sure you guys are not the best at something too. So, okay. So in review, clarity was the first principle that I wanted to talk about. We talked about the 3 aspirational words, journaling, and what else? Who knows? Your why. Remember your why. Okay. So, even if you do all that stuff, you're going to have one of these days again, right? Where it's like, I'm trying to be awesome today, but I'm exhausted from being freaking awesome yesterday, right? And who feels that way sometimes? You're like, I was good yesterday. I don't have to be good today. But in all reality, and joking aside, I want to share the second principle, which has a deep meaning in my life, and it's gratitude. I want to share a couple cool quotes on gratitude. People are generally happier when they have gratitude in their hearts. You cannot be bitter, resentful, or mean-spirited when you are grateful. So you can't be sad and glad at the same time. If you're grateful, you can't be those things either. Here's another quote. As we cultivate a grateful attitude, we are more likely to be happy. So again, if we want to be more happy in our life and get through these days that sometimes bog us down or are hard, we can have gratitude in our hearts, and it'll make us more happy. And this one's from Oprah, so it must be true and real. Oprah said, "Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you focus on what you don't have, you'll never have enough." And I think that's so true. Gratitude was the first 30-day challenge that I did. In May of this year, I felt inspired to post a video every day of sharing something that I was grateful for. And it was the coolest thing that I've ever done. It really changed my outlook on life. I became happier, I became more positive, and the people around me became more positive and noticed that my persona or aura had changed. And so it was a really cool effect. I would find the positive instead of finding the negative. And I was just generally in a good mood. I mean, who doesn't want that? So if you guys want to check that out, I have 30 videos on Facebook. It's just called Gratitude Video Journal. You can't miss it. There's only one. And something else about gratitude, after I had that motorcycle accident, I felt like having a near-death experience, or possibly dying, could have, really humbled me and made me more grateful for everything that I have. So I want to do a quick activity, another activity. I want everybody to close your eyes, and we're going to do a deep meditation. No, not really, but close your eyes for a sec. Close your eyes and just imagine you live in Puerto Rico and a hurricane came through and you don't have running water or electricity for however long they didn't have that. Now think about, just imagine that. What would that be like? No internet. Gosh forbid. What if we lived in Haiti when they had that earthquake a few years back and their buildings got tumbled? What if you lived in a third world country and you didn't know if you were going to live tomorrow because there's militants on the street every day? Or what if you lived in poverty and you didn't know how you were going to find your next meal? Really think about how that would feel. Okay, now open your eyes, and I want you to think of all the things that you can be grateful for. Write down 3 things right now that you're grateful for. Just 3. 3 things. After thinking of what you might not have, then think about all the things you do have. And think about how grateful we need to be. And I want you to keep these notepads with you in your purse or your bag, and whenever you have a tough time. Oh, I didn't bring my charger. We'll see what happens. Okay, so the next time you feel overwhelmed or you're having one of those days, you've got this notepad in your book, in your bag or purse or whatnot. Man bag, wallet. There's a few men in here. So gratitude is the second principle. We talked about the 30-day challenge, and I might challenge you to do that. We thought about things that we might not have and then wrote down things that we are grateful for. And one thing I want to challenge you also to do is every day when you wake up, write down 2 things you're grateful for in this book. And then when you go to bed, write 2 more things. And as the time goes on, do that for 1 week. If you do that for 1 week, you'll have 14 things you're grateful for. And you can always pull that out and look at it. The last principle is serving others. And I think that you guys are already doing that. Being in the industry that you're in, so that's why you're awesome. But I want to share a quick story about a really close friend of mine who was going to go on a trip, and he wanted to help others. He tragically passed away before he could go on his trip. But before he went on his trip, he wrote down a mission statement. And it reads this: charity and helping others is truly the path to happiness. Give back, be charitable, impact others' lives, and it will impact yours. Always be mindful of where you can make a difference. So, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. We got another quick activity here. Sorry. I thought maybe you'd fall asleep after lunch, so I'm like, all right, we got to do this. Now, turn to your left. Or right. No, left. Your left. If there's somebody next to you, give them a little quick shoulder massage. Okay? This is an act of service. This is a... We're gonna turn the other way in a minute, but do this for a couple seconds. Okay, now turn to your right so that everybody gets a turn. If you didn't get one, turn the other way. All right. Long enough. Just kidding. Didn't that feel good? Did that not feel good for anybody? Okay, that was an act of service. That was amazing. That was an act of service. Yes. Okay, everybody no. We could do it at the end. So it feels good to serve others, okay? I know it felt good to get the massage, but it also feels good to serve others. And it reflects not only the person serving, but the person receiving too, which is the law of reciprocity. Have you guys heard of that? Okay, cool. I don't know what it is, but it sounded cool. You receive what you get, something like that, right? Is that like what you give, you get? Okay, okay. So you guys are already serving in your industry, but this is something that might help you again during those rough days, and I'm sure you have them. What are some of the struggles you guys deal with? Is it parents, kids, caseloads? Too many? Too many? Scheduling. And then you guys work, I heard you say preschool, so I was like, preschool to high school? Okay. All the way up to age 22? Is that what you said? Are they still in high school? At 22? Oh. Yeah, okay. So you guys have a lot to go through. Do you think, I had this idea, and shoot me down if I'm completely wrong, but when you're struggling communicating with whether it's another teacher, a parent, what if you asked them what their needs are? I don't know. I was just thinking this. Instead of saying, well, I need to do this because I need to follow all the rules, which you guys obviously have a lot, what if you collaborated and tried to be like, hey, how can I help you? You know? I don't know. Would that be helpful?
It changes.
It changes things? No? Is that just too unrealistic? Because I get like there's red tape and bureaucracy, but... Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't understand what you were saying. You have like your own language with like the initials and stuff. No, I thought it was really cool. I want to be part of the cool club one day. Just kidding. So it feels good to serve, giving back. Maybe try to collaborate with people. So do you work with the parents, the kids, and then other teachers and administrators? They're probably the worst. There's none in here, is there? Okay. When I was a kid, they were the worst. So I didn't like them. I did not get along. But giving back, I want to reread this. This is my friend Matt's mission statement to his life. Charity and helping others is truly the path to happiness. Give back, be charitable. Impact others' lives and it'll impact yours. Always be mindful of where you can make a difference. Going along the lines of service. That was the last principle that I have, and my computer, it doesn't have a number. Oh well. It just says low. Maybe so low that I can't do this. Oh, okay. So I am trying to raise $100,000, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about me because this is all about you. But if you can find it in your heart, go to this link, and yes, this one. I have a friend whose name's Keith, and he has a friend who's named Matt who lives in Riverton, and he went to Haiti with Operation Underground Railroad and wanted to give back and help people. Well, he went there and had a little bit of difference of opinion about what they did, so he wanted to start his own nonprofit. So he started Fight to Thrive. And I was just running one night and thought, I needed another crazy challenge to do. What if I tried to raise $100,000 in 60 days? I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I called up Keith and Matt and went and met with them, and my other friend Jason and me and Matt and Keith made a bunch of videos showing people, teaching people about what this nonprofit is, and it's to help kids, orphans in Haiti. He runs an orphanage, and not only does he run that, but he's trying to create a community center where he's teaching people how to teach themselves so that they can self-sustain themselves. So if you can donate to this cause, it'll be wonderful. $5, anything. You'll be doing an act of service. You'll feel good. The other people will feel good. And the very last thing I have without my computer is that I just wanted to go over what we talked about, which was remember your why, having gratitude in your hearts, and serving others. I made a decision this year, earlier this year. When this year started, it's crazy to think the whole year's gone by, I had a thought that I want to impact as many people's lives in a positive way as I could. And I thought, okay, I'm going to keep track of every single person that responds to my Facebook or that I've done something for. I'm like, okay, that's not going to happen. So I just changed it to impact as many people's lives as I can. And that's been my motto, to uplift, motivate, and inspire people. And I was training for a marathon with my dad. Me and my dad did the Huntsville Marathon in September. And we were just chatting like you do when you go running. Does anybody run? Yeah? No? I know, right? I know Melly hates it, but we're just sitting there chatting, running. And I asked him, hey, looking back on this year, what are you most proud of? Or what was your biggest accomplishment? He's like, I don't know. And I thought to myself, I bet everybody kind of just goes through every year probably the monotony of days, and they all just kind of roll into years and months. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I actually challenged myself to do something this year, every 30 days. I can look back and be like, I did this and this and this and this and this and this, and I've never been able to do that before. So I want to challenge you guys to challenge yourself to do something amazing and great and awesome. You're already awesome. I want to get better together. I'm trying to make that my catchphrase. Does that sound good? I don't know. Let's get better together. And you can do that through having clarity on your goals, having gratitude in your hearts, and serving others. And just be awesome. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for having me.